everyone, Shawn Clement here from the Richmond Hill Golf Learning Center, headquarters for Wisdom in Golf. And this evening, it's quieting down, it's getting a little dark, and I'm going to take advantage and do my follow-up to my pop fly with the driver. And we're doing pop fly with the hybrids. I know many of you, when the ball is sitting high in the rough, and you're trying to hit down on that hybrid, well, you're going to tend to have a lot of pop flies. And for those of you who play it off the tee on a par 3, many of you are going underneath the ball. So here's a couple of really nice drills that are going to help you out. So again, if I take my ball on a string and I give control to gravity, and gravity is creating that arc, and I want to feel like I'm just catching it at the bottom and just slightly along the bottom, it's going to look like this. And notice how it's still approaching downwards. So this would be too much on the way down. So notice how the low point is in front of the tee. And this would be more with the driver, where I'm catching it more on the way up, and I've got that, that very high face and that low loft. I want to catch it on the way up, so I reduce the amount of spin and I increase the amount of launch angle, and I'm going to benefit from that driver. So a really awesome drill before we get to the hybrid here. Grab a 7-iron, and you'll go to my contact and direction video. Great contact and spot-on direction, Shawn Clement. And we put the ball on a super high tee. So you go to the driving range where they have those long rubber tees for the driver, and you put the ball on top of that. So what you want to see is you want to be able to clip the tip of the tee as you're swinging along the surface of the ground. So if I'm swinging along the surface of the ground, I feel like right now the blur of the club is following. So I can see with the leading edge of the club how it's just below the equator, and I'm going to feel some nice sweeps along the top of the tee. So you heard by the sound of that one, that was spot on, well compressed, beautiful ball flight, and I'm just nipping the very tip of the tee on the way up. Now, when you default to the ball, so right now, I'm focused on cutting my dandelion stem with the sole of my club. You see my demeanor? Notice my head's behind, still behind, still behind. Now, if my brain goes to, well, what about the ball? Now I'm going under the tee, and I'm going clean underneath the ball. So if I default to the ball, see what happens? Now I'm breaking the tee. I'm taking the whole face through the tee, and I'm going clean underneath the ball. So anytime you give up on your target, then you default to the ball. Now you're going under the ball. So if I stay on my task, I'm clipping the tip of the tee along the surface of the ground. So I feel like the sole of the club is running along parallel to the surface of the ground. Beautiful contact. Perfect ball flight, that soft little draw that I was looking for. And that was spot on in the center of the club face. So we take the hybrid. And I got a very plush mat here. So again, if I default to the ball, I go down into the mat, I'll hit it very high in the face, and the ball's going to go way too high, it won't go anywhere. So I'm focusing on the sole of the club, staying along the surface of the mat. So notice my demeanor, my head position. This is me skipping a stone on water. This is me throwing the stone into the beach. Well, we don't want to be that one. So this is my skipping stone. See how the sole of the club is nice and wide, nice and flat. So I'm going to stay, hear the sound of that? I'm staying along the surface of the grass with the sole of the club. So I see the dandelion stem in my mind, and I am swinging along the ground through the dandelion stem and out toward my target. Isn't that a beautiful sound? That was nutted right between the red and the white flag, and that's my 4 hybrid, and that's carrying about 225. That's a perfect 4-iron. That's the distance that I'm looking for. My 5-iron is typically my 205 club, so my 4-iron is about 220. So a along the surface of the ground. As soon as I default to the ball and I forget about my task, and I go ball, well, now you can see that the angle of attack has steepened dramatically, and I'm going down for the count. Okay? So when you're in the long grass, you're focusing on clipping the very top of the grass. If it's sitting down in the rough, then you're listening for the sole of the club to thump along the surface of the ground. That's what's going to put the ball on the club face. So you're adjusting how you're going to be swinging along the surface of the ground or the grass depending on how the ball is sitting. And that's how you will benefit from those hybrids. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you in the next one.